Sending money back home is expensive, slow, and time-consuming. Not anymore. Introducing Denari Cash. Denari Cash solves this in a simple way. Denari Cash don't send money across border. Yes, you heard it right. So, you want to know how do we send money internationally without sending across the border? Simple. You make a local payment to Denari Cash, and Denari Cash makes a local payment to your recipient. That's right, it's local in then local out. From any account to any cash pickup and major bank account. That's the reason why Denari Cash makes money transfers so much cheaper and faster. Available on any mobile, tablet, and computer. Denari Cash is trusted and loved by tens of thousands of people just like you. So what are you waiting for? Sign up now and start saving now with Denari Cash.
Yon, good evening! Naririnig niyo ba ako, guys? First time ko magla-live on my own. Wow! Hey, thank you for watching. Kung nandito ka ngayon and you're watching my very first live episode, thank you so much. It's my 20th Finance Friday episode and the 40th consecutive week na nagkundag ako ng live. And I do hope na you're still here with me kahit konti lang tayo tonight. It's medyo kinakabahan si Kuya Jay, no? Lamig ng aking kamay. And to those of you who are watching right now, thank you so much. If you're one of my clients, please make a shout out naman dyan. Oo, if you can see this, if there's any technical difficulties, pakisabi lang din sa akin. And of course, ang aking live episode is streaming on Facebook, streaming on YouTube, and also sa LinkedIn. Medyo hindi alatang kinakabahan ako, no? Kasi nga, it's the first time that I've ever done a solo live. And tonight, we'll be talking about the topic that I really love speaking about. And it's all about financial planning. And before I continue this program, before we proceed, I'd just like to give a huge shout out to Denari Cash and for supporting my advocacy on financial literacy. So if you have any questions about money, finance, and anything in between, just leave a comment down below and I'll try to answer it. And if it is something that is relevant to our topic this evening. So, ayan. Ang topic is about financial planning basics. And ano ba ang financial planning? Yan yung mga bagay na gusto natin malaman. Para kanino ba to? And most importantly, kailangan mo ba siya talagang gawin? Or baka naman pwede mo na lang i-google to, right? So, sana tayo. Okay lang? Okay lang, okay. We're already in the 5th minute mark. So, before anything else, ano ba ang financial planning? Yan, Kuya Jay, ano ba yung financial planning? Parang kailangan ko ba talaga niyan? Parang wala naman akong plano sa buhay. But yes, my friend, kahit wala kang plano sa buhay, as much as possible, kailangan natin yung financial plan. And ang financial planning is a roadmap that helps you get to your financial goals. Ayan. So, if wala kang roadmap, then definitely, paano mo pupuntahan yun, right? You have to understand where you are right now in order for you to be in a place where you want to go. And that's why financial planning is very important. Ang financial planning actually touches on the 4 pillars of financial planning. Ayan. Or 4 pillars of personal finance. Ano ba yung 4 pillars na to? If you're gonna ask me. Alright. So the 4 pillars of personal finance involve, number 1 is si cash. Second would be si credit. And the next would be the risks. And lastly would be the riches. Anong ibig sabihin ko na? Let me try to expound this, okay? So ito yung 4 pillars na yan. Actually got this and just modified that acronym kay Coach Efren Llamas Cruz. So Coach, my mentor, the father of personal finance in the Philippines, if you're watching this, thank you sa'yo because I had a great idea of what financial planning really is because of you. So ang cash, number 1, again, cash is the money that we spend. Yan yun. Cash is pera. Basically, that's the pesos that we have. Credit is ang karugtong na ng pangalan ng mga Pilipino, okay? Which is utang. Ayan, utang. We need to know how to manage and eliminate our debts. Okay? And then the next part of financial planning, which is also one of the pillars, is risks. When we talk about risks, ito yung short-term and long-term risks. Or, dyan papasok yung mga critical illness, medical illness, even loss of job. Kasi kami mga financial planners, we can calculate all the amounts of money that you need to save and invest para ma-achieve mo yung financial goals mo. We can also calculate kung hanggang kailan ka makakaahon sa utang. Yes, kaya natin yan. We can set up a plan for that. Pero, ang hindi namin kayang i-calculate is kung kailan ka magkakasakit and kailan ka mamamatay. Naku, ang morbid, no? Pero, yes, risks and untimely death and and illness is something that we financial planners can never ever calculate. Kaya risks is part of financial planning. And lastly would be riches. When we talk about riches, we're talking about building wealth. Dito papasok yung investments and some people or some financial planners or advisors might approach you telling you na, okay, kailangan mo ng education planning kasi you have one child. You're medyo nag-struggle ka ngayon and you need to build your retirement fund or what. So all of those things, lahat yon, short-term or long-term goals, lahat yon just fall under itong category ng riches. Wherein, we invest money for us to beat ang ating kalaban, which is inflation. Yon. Okay, again, yon ang 4 pillars of personal finance. And sa kahit na sinong makausap mo about financial planning, kahit na anong pang mambo-jumbo na words or terminologies na maririnig mo from that person, all of those topics will just fall under the 4 pillars of personal finance. Yes! And why do we need this? Why do you think, Kuya Jay, ba't ba kailangan ko talaga ng financial planning? And bakit? Kasi nga, there are 2 people. Ako, I believe in this thing eh. Na, there are 2 people that you need to please in your life, or at least there are 2 important people in your life na kailangan mo i-please. Number 1 is yung present self mo, and the second person is your future self. Oo, bakit mahalaga na ma-please mo si present self? It's because hindi mo naman alam kung aabot ka talaga dun sa retirement age mo, right? Kasi nga, kaya may mga tao dito na YOLO ng YOLO, but unfortunately, there's this other person na kailangan mo ring i-please, and that is your future self. Your future self will tell your present self one day na, younger self, why did you splurge your money and did not prepare for myself or for me? Ngayon, panahon na I'm already retired. Ngayon, if ang iyong budget or inyong financial plan is only focused kay present self, ganun yung pwede mangyari. However, if ang iyong finances naman is only focused kay future self, ano kayang mapifeel ni present self? Of course, madideprive yan. And in most cases, if you feel deprived, kaya may mga tao na nakaka-save ng malaking pera, pero they fail na de-deprive sila sa kanilang mga ginagawa. And once na merong nagkaroon ng isang sale or ng isang magandang purchase, they would immediately splurge it. Kasi nga, hindi balanced ang kanilang finances. And that is why you definitely need a financial plan. And a financial plan it's an ongoing process that has to be checked every year, every quarter, or as much as possible. Kaya nga kailangan mo ng financial planner in your life. If you have a family doctor in your family, definitely you also need a financial planner. Oo. Yes! And, medyo na ako, no? Medyo paus na si Kuya Jay. Ang hirap pala magsalita mag-isa. 'Di ba? Para kung baliw. Nag-isa lang ako dito. So, if nandiyan ka ngayon, mag-hi ka naman. I have so many things to tell to you this evening. So, next one. Sino ba para kaninong financial planning? Mamaya, sasabihin ko yan. And, how do I conduct my financial planning? This is how I usually do it. No? It's a very basic approach, and I call it the 3D and 3P approach. Siguro first time mo ito narinig, or probably first time mo lang kasi ako lang siguro nakaisip na ito, but hindi naman ito bago. I just came up with it. It's an approach that I have learned all throughout my entire life, but for the last 5 years that I've been studying personal finance, financial planning, and even sa aking personal experience. And yung experience ko mismo ang dala sa akin sa aking profession right now as a financial planner. So the first one, of course, is to define your purpose. Ayan. Kaya nga purpose-driven advisor yung pangalan ng page ko eh. It's because all of the things that I do is defined by a purpose. It is anchored to a certain why. Know your why. Ayan, nilagay ko yan dyan. Know your why. Why do you do the things that you do? Kasi nga, there's a saying that goes na the deeper the why, the easier the how. And most of the problems na na-encounter ng maraming tao is that they can be presented with the perfect system about anything and everything about life, especially in financial planning. May mga financial planners will give you how to get out of debt, how to uh, invest, and how much yung kailangan mo para i-protect ang iyong income. However, kung hindi mo alam kung bakit mo siya kailangan gawin, most of the time talaga mawawala ka sa focus. And I'm sorry to break it to you, pero ang journey towards financial freedom is a long journey, and oftentimes it is really boring kasi when you get your income, you save it, repeat, and then you invest some of it if you're already ready to invest. And if you don't know your why, chances are, if like what I said kanina, something that is presented to you na it probably looks like a good investment, and ang mangyayari sa'yo niyan is that bigla mo na lang i-invest yung pera mo without actually knowing if it is anchored to your why din. Kasi nga, hindi lang enough na you know your goals eh. You really need to make sure na your life is purpose driven. How do I tell my clients na ganito? Kasi nga, I want to make sure that I'm helping the right people. And I understand and I always believe that money is a tool that can help, and it can help people and it can also destroy people's lives. And I want to make sure that I'm helping the right people who's going to use that tool to help a lot of people as well in making this life a better place than in, not this life but rather this world a better place than it already was. So, let's say you are a parent, 'di ba? Normally if you are a parent, then meron kang nakasandal na o may merong nakasalalay na mahalagang buhay sa'yo, and that is the life of your child. And if your purpose of becoming financially free is anchored to that very deep sense of purpose of becoming the best parent who you want to be, then definitely all your actions would be anchored towards fulfilling that purpose. And wait lang, mayroon nag-comment. Ayan. Hi daw, sabi ni Miss Spring TV. Hello sa'yo. Thank you so much for watching and for the support as always. Now, ang ating first part, which is defining the purpose, also includes understanding yung long-term and short-term goals natin. So, once you defined your why, all the actions that you want to do in life has to be attached to it. Hindi naman pwedeng puro tayo long-term goals and hindi rin pwede na puro tayo short-term goals. Your short-term goals give momentum para ma-reach mo ang iyong long-term goals. And I always believe that there's a difference between having a purpose versus just having goals. Kasi when you finish your goals, in most of the time, we ask ourselves what's next. Goals are meant to be achieved, and pag na-achieve na yun ng tao, sometimes we feel lost. And if you know na there's a purpose that you're doing something for something that is eternal, so let's say you're once you become a parent, you're a parent na forever. So it is something eternal. Kaya let's say your purpose is to be the best parent that you can be, then definitely every goal that you achieve, every goal that you set, every goal that you hit, you'll always ask for something na would fulfill that purpose of being the best parent that you can be. And I thank you. All right, so that's the first step. Define your purpose. Now, the second step of my financial planning approach would be designing your lifestyle. So what do I mean by designing a lifestyle? When we talk about designing your lifestyle, it has to be anchored again dun sa yung purpose. All right? We talk about cash flow management. Ang cash flow, by the way, is the money that's coming in and out of your pocket. So, isipin mo, if you don't have the money, then paano ka makapag-invest? Paano ka makapag-save? And how can you get out of debt? And that is why yung iyong cash flow management should be anchored again. If you want to be the best parent, then do you think yung merong mga expenditures na hindi naman necessary to fulfill a certain purpose? Now, in order for me and my clients to be guided accordingly, I follow etong 4 Fs of life. Well, ako lang siguro or what, pero narinig mo na rin siguro yan. Ang 4 Fs na sinasabi ko dito would be, number 1, of course, your finances. Second would be your family or relationships or friends. The second F. Third F would be fitness. When I say fitness, it's all about your health. Kasi ahanin mo naman ang pera if you are sick. Kaya fitness is part of it. And lastly, and one of the most important thing in life, the fourth important F is faith. Faith, guys. All of us need to believe in something. And that something or that someone is God. Now, when we talk about designing our lifestyle, ang budgeting natin should tackle all those four Fs that I'm talking about. And that is the only way for us to have a more balanced and meaningful life. So, may nag-comment ulit dito sa aking comment section. Pa-mentor Kuya Jay, aba. Thank you, Carms. Shout out sa'yo. Sure, why not? Walang problema. PM is the key kay Kuya Jay. Ayan. Why most of Pinoys don't like to talk about sorry, na medyo na ano talaga. Nagra-rattle si Kuya Jay this evening. Okay? Medyo mahirap pala magawa ng solo live. All right. Why most of Pinoys don't like to talk about the topic of finance? Ganda yan. Kasi nga, we're not used to talking about it. Kasi it's I think it's a cultural thing. And that is why when the time comes that we need to address our finances, we don't know anything about it. Why? Kasi we don't talk about it. And that's the purpose of this program that I'm having right now, which is to make sure that personal finance would be something that is going to be a common subject sa ating mga Filipinos. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a long journey for me. And I need your help to promote financial literacy. So thank you. Shout out again for you guys, Carms and Miss Mary Chris, for participating. All right. Teka, inom muna akong tubig. Medyo mahirap pala to. Okay. So we're done with the first two, no? Define the purpose and design a lifestyle. The third one, which is important part of financial planning, is destroying debt. Okay? So, marami kasi sa atin na nag-i-invest na and doing a lot of crazy things with money even if we're not yet out of debt. And ang debt kasi is yung parang termite yan ng ating financial house. No matter how much you want to build it, your house will always fall down because merong mga anay na kakain at kakain ng mga pundasyon ng pera mo. Kaya as much as possible, as early as you can, as fast as you can, get out of debt. Okay? And when we talk about debt, at least dapat ang iyong I'm talking about consumer debts. All right? So, meron mga good and bad debts, and most of the time, maraming mga Filipinos ang nai-involve sa debts because they definitely don't know what to do with their money. There are a lot of Filipinos here na would have access to a lot of cash. They would borrow money from the bank and then they would splurge it. And then for the next 4 to 5 years of their lives, they're just paying all those debts back. And that is what you call the debt trap. When we talk about debt trap, we're talking about debt trap. We talk about yung time frame, kung gaano katagal na nandun sa utang. R would be the rate or the mortgage rate. A would be the amortization, okay? Amortization or yung monthly na binabayad mo sa utang mo. And then P would be yung principal na binabayaran mo. Kaya nga debt trap, di ba? So TRAP. You always remember that. And there is a method that I'm doing to help my clients get out of debt. It can be different from person to person, okay? Kasi nga I always believe na finance is behavioral. Pwedeng some people would do the mathematical way and majority of the people will do the behavioral way. And most of the time, what I recommend is yung debt snowball method, which addresses yung behaviors ng aking clients to make sure that they stay motivated in getting out of debt. Okay? So that's the third phase or the third part. Get out of debt. Kasi your debt can lead to your death. Okay. Morbid na naman ni Kuya Jay. Death na naman. Puro ka na lang. Ay, nako Kuya Jay. Alright. So, fourth step. Bilis ng ano enjoy ko yata ito ng konti. Medyo passionate yata ako sa topic this evening. So, the next step is to prepare for emergencies. Bakit? Ba't ba kailangan ng emergencies? I mean, bakit kailangan mag-prepare sa emergencies? Kasi emergencies do happen. We do not pray for emergencies to happen, but as much as possible, we prepare for them. Naisip ko nga the other day, I was thinking na nung dumating yung COVID, I realized na parang yung mga langgam, mas mautak pa sa atin eh. Kasi sila, nakapag-imbak na eh, even before the calamity strikes. And that's the behavior of an ant. And um, parang, anong tawag dito, ironically, ants are very small. I don't even know if they have a brain, but they're really small. And they know na emergencies do happen, and that is why nagpa-plan talaga sila for it, or they prepare for it. But us, even I never really um, realized na itong pandemic would happen. And even I fall for this mistakes then kasi I'm too confident about my money na anything that I can accomplish is something that I can definitely do. Pero if hindi mo siya napaghandaang mabuti, then mahihirapan ka rin pagdating ng emergencies. Ayan, you have a good topic, Kuya Jay. Thank you, Miss Carms. Yes, it is a good topic to discuss. And it's a good topic to share then. So, when you talk about preparing for emergencies, we're talking about emergency funds. And by the way, emergency funds is the cash that we need to save in the bank. This is the only cash that we need. And how much do you need? It's normally dati it's just 3 to 6 months of emergency funds. But because may COVID and wala pa ring vaccine dito sa pandemya na to, we financial planners recommend 6 to 12 months of monthly expenses. Ibig sabihin, if you lose your job tonight, or sige, wag na tonight, bukas na kasi wala na HR eh. If you lose your job tomorrow, ask yourself, can you survive for the next 6 to 12 months without borrowing money? Yan. If hindi, then it means that you're not ready, or you do not have enough emergency funds or emergency savings. Now, kanina na mention ko, no, ito lang yung cash na you need to save in the bank. Bakit? Okay, tama. Monolog nga pala tong evening to. Bakit? Kasi nga, cash is something na has to be readily available. You have to remember yung 4 pillars of personal finance, and cash is part of it. And sa emergency fund, doon natin kailangan si cash. Kasi we do not want to be in debt. The moment you borrow money, you're already losing money. Parang redundant. But that's just how it is. And many people fall or go into ito, babalik yan, magbabackslide yan sa debt. Kasi nga, pag dumating si emergency, hindi tayo handa. And most of the time, ang nagiging emergency fund natin is yung credit card. And credit card is the most highly and well-marketed financial instrument of all time. You need money, go borrow money. It's just a swipe away. Diba? And once you fall to that trap again, you'll be in that cycle over and over again. And this is why saving for emergency funds is very important. The question here is, paano yun? Let's say, ang monthly expense ko is 3,000 per month. 3,000 dirhams per month. So, kano kailangan ko? So, 18 months minimum just for me to barely survive for 6 months. Ibig sabihin, if I have 18,000 dirhams in the bank, if I have investments, if I have debts that I have to settle, and if I have rents that I need to pay, and I have a family who needs my income, then I can still survive for the next 6 months. So, paano pag-iipunin? Parang ang tagal naman, di ba? Parang ang laki. Never ako nagkaroon ng ganun kalaking pera, Kuya Jay. Paano ko ipunin yan? Well, don't you worry, okay? You can divide that into 4. When you say 4, it can be 4 years. Ang tagal, no? Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo financial planning is really boring. For me, it took me 3 years. 3 years, to build my emergency fund before I decided to become a financial planner. Because I know now when I become a full-time financial planner at UAE, ang income ko would be up and down na. So, having cash for a good number of months is something that you really have to save up for. All right? So that is preparing for emergencies. And again, this is the only money that you save in the bank kasi beyond 12 months, okay, na worth of income, dapat ini-invest mo na yan. Kasi the bank does not give a good number of interest to beat inflation. Let's say, ang pasadaan ko lang sa inflation is ang pagtaas ng bilihin sa ating bansa. So let's say ang inflation is currently ang average inflation ng Pinas is nasa 4%. And social no, 4%. 4%. If ang inflation is at 4% and your bank is only offering you ilan? 1 minus 1%, then it means that if all your money is invested in the bank, then you are losing 3% of your money's worth. So if last year 1,000 dirhams can buy you this phone, the next year hindi na. Baka bar phone na lang yan. Or di naman siguro ganun kalaki, but definitely it won't be the same value as next year. Now, ito yung pagkakamali ng karamihan ng Filipinos. We do not most of our assets, most of our cash are just invest in the bank. And again, I'm gonna tell you this for the sake of this topic na the only cash that you need in the bank is your emergency fund. Unless you built your emergency fund, hindi ka titigil na magsisave sa bank. Once na na-build mo sa emergency fund, then we move on to the next step. Okay? And that step would be tantaran. By the way, itong next step does not actually have to be the 5th step. Ako personally, I would recommend that all of us should have this mandatorily. As long as you can afford it, you have to have this. Regardless kung nasang step ka ng financial planning. The next is protecting your income. Whew. Okay, so tapos na yung 3D, no? First 3 would be define the purpose. Second is to design the lifestyle based on the purpose. And then the third D is to destroy debt. The second P is protect your income. Saan mo pinoprotect ang income mo? Diba? You protect your income from life's risk. Kanina sinabi ni Kuya Jay, no, na coming financial planners, we can always calculate how much money you need to save and invest so you can fund your retirement, how much money you need para makaahon sa utang. Pero the only thing that we can never calculate is kung kailan ka tatama ng malubhang sakit. So, ang ginagawa lang namin is just for you to mitigate those risks, to prepare for the untimely or unfortunate event. Have you ever encountered someone or if you close your eyes for 30 seconds and think of someone na nagkaroon ng malubhang sakit sa inyong family or sa inyong kapitbahay? Meron, right? One point in your life, meron. And have you ever heard about their story, what happened after? Oftentimes, wala, nauubos ang kanilang finances. When I was working in the call center, meron akong mga katrabaho na dating mayayaman. Father nila was an OFW, and nung nagkaroon ng malubhang sakit, yun, naghirap sila. And yung kanilang finances really went down the drain because nung nawala si breadwinner, yung income na binibigay ni breadwinner is no longer available for the family. One thing that you have to remember, guys, is that when we leave this earth, okay, hindi lang po katawan at kaluluwa natin ang nawawala sa mundong ibabaw. Nawawala din po ang earning potential ng inyong family. Let me repeat that. If mamatay tayo, wag naman sana agad ngayon, no? If mangyayari yung hindi ka nais-nais and hindi handa ang inyong pamilya when that happens, hindi lang katawan natin ang nawawala, but also the earning capacity of that certain breadwinner. And that is one of the reasons bakit maraming nalulubog sa utang na pamilya, maraming nauubos na ipon na cash kasi nga walang nag-protect ng kanilang income. And ang nakakatuwa lang when we talk about protecting the income. By the way, I'm talking about insurance here. We are talking about different types of insurance. Medical, life, and non-life. Pasadahan ko, si medical would be yung PhilHealth natin na medicals. And yung short-term illnesses natin like yung mga pagpunta natin pa konti-konti sa ospital, yung mga minor surgeries, yan yung mga hospital bills natin, yan yon. Medical insurance is very important. Kasi nga kakain niya ng pag nagkaroon ka ng emergency, alangan namang anong gagawin mo? Babayaran mo yung buong savings mo? Of course not. Kaya nga kailangan mo ng insurance to protect your income. So that's one part. Second would be life. Life insurance would be pag natsugi si client. Okay? And normally, pag natsugi si client at wala siyang life insurance, the family na iiwan niya would suffer. And then normally, ang kasama ng life would be yung mga riders na tinatawag, which are your critical illness and disability insurance. Many single individuals would tell me na, Kuya Jay, hindi ko na kailangan yan kasi wala naman nakadepend sa aking income. Definitely not. Sa tingin mo ba nakadepend? Meron nakadepende sa income mo. You just have to look at the mirror right in front of you. And that person depends on your income. Oo, ikaw yun. Ikaw yung nasa harap ng mirror. Wala nang iba, di ba? Alam naman, sino pa, di ba? Wala na. Ikaw lang. Yes. You depend on your income. Kaya kailangan mo ng what? Again? Ng insurance. Oo. Kasi, huwag kang invest ng invest. Kita wala, di ko pa pinag-usapan yung invest. No? Hindi pa yun yung pinaka last part. Kasi, ito yung pwede mangyari sa'yo na you can invest for the next 10 years of your life without having insurance. And the moment na you turn to a certain age na tamaan ka ng sakit, let's say the average age of an expat dito sa UAE na tinatama ng sakit is 48 years old. All those 10 years of your savings will go down the drain in just, 3 months? 6 months? Matagal na yung 1 year. And I'm not making stories up because when my one perfect example for this would be a personal experience with my family 5 years ago. My father had his open heart surgery. We were not prepared for it. Wala siyang insurance and PhilHealth was not enough. So anong ending? We had to borrow money from a loan shark and kasi that's our last hope. We want to extend the life of our father and we were forced kasi nga wala na talaga ibang option but to borrow money. Now, nung nanghirap kami ng pera, the interest there was like 18% per annum. So yung bills ng ni Airpat ballooned to 2 million and we were in debt for like 3 to 4 years. So mahirap and that could have been prevented by simply having a life insurance. Now, you cannot younger generations and my fellow millennials, we should never blame our past generations for not having life insurance. Why? Because hindi naman sila wala naman sila access to this kind of information back then. Most of our older generations only relied on other people through word of mouth and other people's experiences. So, what should we do is to just do our best para hindi na magtuloy-tuloy yung cycle ng alin ng kahirapan sa Pilipinas and cycle na hindi protected ang isang breadwinner. And that is why etong information na I'm sharing you is something that would help you benefit not just you personally but also other people as well. Wait lang, iinom uli ng tubig si Kuya Jay. Nakakauhaw pala to, no? Iba talaga iba pa rin pag may guest. Okay? Now, going back to what I was saying. Yung insurance planning is very tricky, no? Bakit ko nasabing very tricky? Kasi marami kang makakausap na insurance agents sa Philippines and not just Philippines, also dito sa UAE that would offer you products na you think you need, pero in reality hindi. You don't overpay for your life insurance policy. I'm telling you this. Never spend beyond 10%. At least ako nga insurance ko is only at 3% of my income. Diba? The challenge with I just want to share this na rin. Na the challenge with life insurance products na binibenta all over the place is that parang ang majority na nabebenta lang would be yung whole life insurance which involves investment. Now personally, I am not a huge fan of insurance with investments. Ang insurance ko is pure insurance. And it's the cheapest form of insurance. It's what you call a term life insurance. And it is enough for me to be covered for a good number of years for a huge amount of money. Now, it's gonna be a long discussion. There's a long debate over life insurance, particularly sa term and whole life. But you need to speak to the right people to know if you are being offered with the right product. Kung ito ba talaga is something that you need or baka naman that's something that your financial advisor needs for himself. Shout out! Yes! Okay, wow, ang bilis. 36 minutes na pala yun. I'll just go for my first break and once I come back, I'll discuss the next step of my financial planning process. Wag kang alis. Pabalik si Kuya Jay.
Yo, what's up? This is Real Talk Darbs and I have very exciting news for you. Denari Cash and Beam and Go has decided to tie up to bring groceries to your loved ones in the Philippines. By using the application Denari Cash, you can actually deliver yung mga groceries na gusto nating ipadala door to door sa Pilipinas. In light of the community quarantine and growing COVID-19 cases in the Philippines, we are tying up with Beam and Go para sa mga kababayan nating OFW na nandito sa UAE to buy groceries. So what are you waiting for? Download Denari Cash app now and enjoy a lot of services, not just sending money but also sending grocery to your families at home.
Oh yes, and Kuya Jay is back. And kung napapansin nyo, nalaglag yung painting sa likod na tumba. Oh my God. Is it a sign na wala namang multo sa Dubai, right? So, mamaya ko na ayusin yan. Now, as I was telling you, merong iba't ibang process, or I follow this 3D and 3P approach in terms of financial planning. And before the break, we were already on the fifth step, which is to protect the income. Now, going on to my sixth step. Okay? And that is Dun-dun-dun. Wala pang drum roll. Wala akong sound effects pa. Wala pang budget si Kuya Jay for sound effects. So, ako lang gagawa. Dun-dun-dun. Ayan. Plan for the future. Oo. Plan for the future. Magtanim. ID biro. Oo. Yan yung... When we talk about planting for the future, we're talking about investments. Ayan. So, investments would be in many forms. It can be an investment to fund the education of your child. It can be an investment to fund your retirement home or to fund your retirement income. No matter what kind of vehicle it is, it has to be aligned to a certain purpose. And kaya nga hindi mo pwedeng dapat ilagay lang ang pera mo sa bangko. Bakit? Kasi nga ang interest is really, really low. And what is the purpose of investments? Investment planning involves proper calculation of the future value of money. Now, if you're speaking to the right financial planner, they would calculate how much you really need in the future. Let's say, ngayon, if 50,000 pesos ang kailangan mo to survive, that 50 pesos won't be the same 50 pesos 20 years from today. Yes, again, kasi nga po, meron tayong tinatawag na inflation. Now, when you reach that certain amount, kailangan mo rin malaman gaano katagal dapat mag-last ang iyong retirement income. When you talk about planning for the future, when you talk about investing, again, it's going to be a long discussion. Kaya I just want to try to simplify it. Now, dito sa planning for the future, everything that is involved about investing is discussed with your financial planner. Kaya dapat, babalik tayo again dun sa number 1. Define the purpose. Ano yung purpose ng investment na to? Is it like what I said kanina? Is it for a house? Is it for retirement income? Anything that you desire in life that you want to accomplish definitely requires money, and that requires goal setting and the financial planning. So that is the 6th step, which is to plan for the future. And actually, there's a bonus one. And part pa rin to, pero in most cases, kasi majority ng clients ko right now are young professionals and people who are still trying to get out of debt. Hindi ko pa ito masyadong nadi-discuss with them. The last final step of financial planning involves distribution of wealth. When you talk about distribution of wealth, ito yung estate planning na. And when we talk about estate planning, ito na yung hindi man actually sobrang dami, but once you have a sustainable or good amount of assets under your name, then definitely, pagtanda mo, it's going to be a personal choice, okay? Merong mga mayayaman na dinodonate lahat ng kanilang pera sa charity, and it's still part of estate planning. Anything that you wish for your accumulated wealth all throughout your entire life would be under this kind of financial plan, which is estate planning. And also, one thing that you have to know there is about taxes. Kasi nga, the two things in life, there are only two things in life that are certain. That's death and most likely most definitely, taxes. Dati nga akala natin walang tax, never magkakaroon ng tax sa UAE. Pero what? Guess what? 2 years ago, nagkaroon na ng tax. Yes. So, totoo ang quote na yon na ang totoo, ang consistent na sa buhay is death and taxes. So, kami mga financial planners, we also work with different professionals. Kaya nga, when we talk about taxes, we work with lawyers, we work with tax experts para mabigyan ng holistic approach ang aming mga clients. Okay? So, that is how we do basic financial planning for me. And again, by the end of that session, dapat you gotta know how much your current net worth is. Bakit? Your net worth, by the way, is your economical value. Okay? Ito yung starting point mo when you conduct a financial plan with your financial advisor, with your financial planner. Kasi the goal of your next steps is to improve your net worth. By the way, net worth is different from your self-worth. Ibang usapan ng self-worth. Ang value ng tao is not limited to the assets that he owns. Let me just be very, very clear on that. Pero just to have a starting point, when you talk about money, okay, net worth should be your number. And your X number, again, your target number would be defined by your purpose, your goal, and what you want to achieve in life. It is not same as everyone. Let me just be very clear. May mga tao would require a huge number of money for them to sustain the life that they want. Pero don't let other people's life define your life. Okay? That is why financial planning is not the same for everyone. Kaya nga personal finance kasi it's personal. It's not the same as the others. It's not the same as your kapitbahay, not the same as your brothers, not the same as your sisters, not the same as your mother. And you're the only one who can define what you truly want in life. And kami mga financial planners, we just help you out in understanding what you really need and how you're gonna get there. Yun lang. We do not tell you that this is the life that you need to be in. This is not the life that you should have. But we ask you, why is this the kind of life that you want to have? And again, well, that's my approach. No, I always challenge my clients, why do you want to be rich? And rich in means, when I say rich, hindi lang ito about money. It's all about also your relationships, your faith, and your health. And right now, all these things are important. And kaya kailangan natin ng pera. And that is one of the reasons bakit kailangan natin siyang pagplanuhan. Yon. So, medyo mabilis din, no? Mabilis ng 45 minutes. And I still want to say a lot of things about financial planning topics. And let me just read some of the comments sa ating comment section. Save me now. I'll save you later. Yes. That's what money tells us. Yan ang importance then that is why we need emergency funds, because if you save money now, definitely it will save you tomorrow. How many times have I been saved by my savings? Pero kahit wala kang savings, you can still be saved. You can still be saved by God. That's a fact. That's a fact, guys. Not being biased, pero super thankful I met Kuya Jay. If not, maybe super worried na ako because of pandemic. Oy, thank you. Totoo yan. Totoo ba yan? Or gino-joke mo lang ako? Yon, shout out sa'yo, Miss Kring. And to those who are still watching, oy, thank you Pwede ba maano? Hindi ko kasi nakikita dito kung sino nanonood but I'm really thankful that you are here sa Facebook, and there's also 2 people who's watching sa aking YouTube channel. Sa LinkedIn, I haven't checked it. I don't have any way to check it. But hey, I just want to say na it really means a lot to me that you're here and trying to learn more about the topic of personal finance. If there's anything that you want me to talk about in the future, and if na-enjoy, gusto niyo ba mas si Kuya Jay nag-live o gusto mo meron ding iba akong kasama, ano ba, you just give me a feedback and I'll definitely try with all my power kung paano ko siya ma-accomplish. All right? So, let's just have a quick review of what we have discussed this evening. So, this evening, we talked about financial planning basics, and I told you na ang financial planning is something that has to be done by everyone, and when we talk about financial planning, it focuses on the four important areas or four pillars of personal finance. Again, which are cash, or yung pera mo, oo, or your cash flow, credit, which is yung utang, yung R would be yung risks in life, yung dito si emergency fund, and dito rin papasok si life insurance. And then last is C, riches. Or yung pagpa-plant mo for your future, for investments na kailangan mong i-build so that you can have a more comfortable life in the future. And again, that's that's the only the four things that financial planners talk about. Okay? The CCRR. Para madali nyo matandaan, the four pillars of personal finance. And again, sino yung dalawang tao na you really have to be to please. Those two people are, maliban sa family mo, okay, is your present self and your future self. Hindi pwedeng ang financial plan is only focused on the future self, because your present self will feel deprived, and when that happens, wala na, everything will crash. And hindi rin naman pwede na puro kay present self, kasi when you reach that certain age of retirement, pag wala kang napaghandaan, then definitely you and your family will suffer. Yon, Vanny, thank you so much, ha. Lodi, yeah. Shoutout lang kay Miss Vanny Nicor, she's my classmate nung elementary days. Oo, idol ko ang kanilang. I admire their family because I've seen them. Ito yung idea ko about their family, and they really inspired me to become who I am right now, kasi they're one of the models na minomodel ko when I was younger, kasi nga I want to have a family na very strong ang bond, kasi they have a business, their parents have a business, and they really really share everything that they have. And Vanny is also one of the nicest person that I've met, kasi nga ayoko sabihin na sobrang yaman ni Vanny, but definitely napaka-generous niya in everything, in time, her resources, and very frugal ang kanyang lifestyle. So shout out sa iyo, Vanny. Thank you for the support. And ngayon siya ay isa na ring financial planner. I think you are part of True Life, right? Shout out sa ating mga friends diyan sa industry. And nasaan na ba ako? Wait lang. Ang hirap pag nag-iisa lang din dito, no? Okay, so again, ayun, nawala si Kuya Jay for a minute. Now, ang financial planning is different from one person to another. There's what we call this life cycle, no? Life cycle is life stage pala, life stage. Iba-iba ang financial planning for different life stage. There's a different financial planning approach for teenagers. Oo, kasi ito yung stage wherein wala pa silang na-accumulate na wealth. They're relatively young, and most likely nakadepend pa sila sa parents nila, unless they are they have a part-time job or meron na silang agad work at a very young age. Okay? So ang challenge nila would be cash, of course. So iba ang financial planning for teenagers. Sumunod would be the young professionals. Ito na yung mga graduate lang and would want to earn more money pa rin again. So ang challenge again with the young professionals would still be yung cash, kasi hindi pa naman gano'ng kalaki yung income nila. Pero definitely and this is what I want, no? This is what I want for every working class sa Filipino. If you are when the moment you start to receive your income, that's also the first time that you should start investing and focusing on mitigating your risks. The earlier na ma-build mo si emergency fund, kasi the better for you. You'll have this you'll have this advantage over other working professionals na matagal bago nakapag-build ng emergency fund. And I would say na dapat when you are still a student, that's also the time na you should be building your emergency fund. Oo, para the moment na you start working, meron ka na kaagad cash, meron ka na advantage over other professionals. Isipin mo kahit sa age ko na to, I still met a lot of older professionals na hindi pa nakaka-build ng emergency fund nila. Bakit? Kasi hindi naman nila alam kung paano siya i-build. And kung gagawin mo to, if all of our younger generations these days would be taught of how to properly save money. Okay, I had this talk sa University of the East last December, and napakita ko sa kanila na if they just save like 50 to 100. Magkano na bang 50 pesos ngayon sa Pilipinas? So it's not that much, right? So if they just save 50 pesos for the next 4 years, they would have at least 30,000 pesos pag nakapag-start na sila mag-work. So imagine, I never had 30,000 pesos when I was working. Even nung pinakamalaking pera na nakuha ko. I think the biggest cash that I got was when I resigned 7 years after I worked from the call center before I came to Dubai. And guess what? Of course, nawala ko rin yung pera na yun. Siyempre, si Kuya Jay to eh. Diba? Ayan. Oh, thanks, Jay. Ayan. And I mean, those were the days, or those are the times that I really wish I knew better. If I only knew then what I know now, then my life would be totally different. And if you are a young person, if you're young professionals listening and watching this, take my advice. I hope you, well, kahit medyo mahirap, but it's definitely worth it. And if you need advice and guidance, just PM me, and I'll share you my time as long as you are committed to changing your life for the better. All right? So, that's one. And as I was saying, iba ang financial planning for young professionals. Now, the moment na young professionals na yan would start to have their own family na. Okay, so they start to settle. Karoon na kayo ng, you'd be a young couple with no children pa. Okay, so yan yung mga moments na nag-increase ng inyong cash flow kasi dalawa na kayong nagtutulungan, and depende pa rin sa income ng bawat magpartner, no? And by the way, just a quick, just want to say this, na if you are a couple or married couple, or kahit mag-boyfriend, girlfriend pa lang kayo, as early as possible, dapat aligned na kayo sa inyong finances. Kasi in the US, the number one reason for divorce is because those couples na nagpakasal, of course, are not in line in terms of how they think about money. Okay? And I want you to know this, na money is not the problem for the divorce. It's how they think when they have and when they don't have money. Kaya nga, financial planning is for people, for both na merong pera at wala pang pera. Bakit? Paano ka magkakapera if you cannot even plan on how you will accumulate wealth? And how you gonna sustain your wealth if wala ka ring financial plan? Okay? Magkaiba there are different ways on how you can make money. And once you make money, hindi natatapos yun. You gotta learn how to keep it. Kasi the moment you start to have money, that's also the time na many people will do their best to what? To get the money that you've accumulated. How can I say this? Of course, na-scam na si Kuya Jay. And ang mga scammers will be out there. They're really, really smart. Very creative on how they're gonna take your hard-earned money away from you. It's a life lesson that I learned. Kaya siguro it's also the reason why I became a financial planner, is because of all these life experiences that I had. And as I was saying, if you are again a couple, make sure na both of you are open to the subject of personal finance. Because why? Both of you, kahit feeling nyo kayo na yung most compatible people on earth. Kayo na si Adam and Eve. Okay? Both of you were still raised differently from different households, with different upbringing, with different thinking about money. One person might be very strict with their finances and the other one is a splurger. And pag nag-clash kayo, wala na. Game over na. One person might feel na the partner is stealing away your retirement fund, while the other person might feel that they are being deprived of what they deserve. And when those two people marry, that's when disaster strikes. And like what my mother always used to tell me, pag kinasal ka daw, hindi ito parang sinaing na kanin na iluluwa mo pag nainitan ka. So make sure na hipan mo muna bago mo kainin yung kanin. Of course, yes. Joke yun. Pero ang core talaga ni Kuya Jay mag-joke, okay? Pero again, yun. Make sure na before you marry or during marriage, you speak to a financial planner. Kasi money is going to play a huge part of your marriage. Paano ko na naman nasabi to, Kuya Jay? Ano ba, alam mo, hindi ka pa naman kasal. Oo, hindi pa kasal si Kuya Jay. Pero meron na naging client si Kuya Jay na Ano ba? Sana hindi siya nanonood. But hindi ko na papangalanan. But, yung mga tao na yon na hindi in line sa kanilang finances eventually ended up separating. Yeah. And mas magastos pa po ang pagpapaanal and all that stuff. So that is why financial planning is important for those people. Now, married and then married with young children, it's still a different financial planning approach for them kasi diyan na sila naka-focus in terms of what? Education of their children. Now, etong challenge with excuse me. Ito yung usual challenge ng mga Filipinos no na nag-retire na nasa retirement years na. During the time that their children are or were still young, hindi sila nag-save for education. Now, the problem is nung tumanda na, nung malapit na mag-college, 4 years na lang college na, dun sila naghahabol. Okay, and they didn't know the earlier or as soon as the child is born, that's also the same time that saving for education should be done mandatorily kasi it's still easier habang maaga pa, mas madali pa, mas onti lang ang kailangan mong itabi for the next 15 to 18 years of your child's life. Mas madali pa. Now, nung dumating yung time na ready na o kailangan na mag-aral ng bata, guess what? So naghahabol sila ngayon. The moment na nangyari yan, almost all of the money that they are saving goes to the education fund of the child. Now, pagkatapos graduate ng bata, sabi mo ng ilang taon na yan. So, more than 20 years na, right? Eh, syempre, nadagdagan na ng 20 years yung buhay nila mag-asawa. Now, those 20 years of their life were already spent na or na kung saan nila nagamit or nagastos or na-waste. Doon na sila mauubusan naman ng oras at panahon to fund their retirement. So, di ba? Hindi nyo mapapansin, it's the cycle that's been happening. The moment na natapos mag-aral yung bata, wala na, di na nila kaya mag-work ng mga ganun pa katagal. Normally, magre-retire na yan after 10 or buti nga kung 10 years. Most of the time, 5 years na lang, retired na yan. And saving for retirement for 5 years is going to be a tough and grueling journey na. Dahil how many more years do you need to live of your life after you retire? 20 to 25 years, while people these days are mas mahaba ng buhay ng tao ngayon. And if you have only 5 years to save for the next 25 years of your life, then guess what? It's going to be a disaster. Kaya nga, there's a survey done last 2015 na 72 to 73% of the retirees back then are living with their children. Yan, kasi hindi nila napaghandaan yung retirement. Bakit? Kasi wala naman sila access sa ganito information. All of our past generations knew na the only way to survive or to be in a better retirement is to have a lot of children. Kasi those children of theirs would definitely be their investment para sa kanilang retirement life, which is definitely should not be the case. And that is why, again, financial planning plays an important role. And in my experience of speaking to many expats dito sa UAE, other nationalities, no, they say na financial planning is something that they really do for it's part of their life na they speak to financial planners. Kaya nga pagdating sa mga emergencies, they are prepared. And when it comes to retirement, they never ask for for support from their children. Well, at least many of them. Now, no, doon sa video ko. Now, si KJ. Wait lang, time out. Nasa mid, Kuya Jay. Now, tapos na, wala na silang anak. May sarili ng buhay ang kanilang mga anak. Kailangan na nilang financial planning would be very different kasi they have to survive on the remaining income or savings that they had accumulated all throughout their life. So another financial planning setup would be different for those kind of individuals. Kaya nga again, financial planning is different from every stage of a person's life. Hindi pwedeng yung financial plan ni tita would be applied to you today kasi iba ang needs mo, iba rin ang needs ni tita. Yan, dami sinabi ni KJ. Mema na lang, oo. Thank you. So, that's it. That's about it. And doon sa 7 million na that's still watching this, thank you appreciate this. I think it would be better if we conduct a live every evening para you guys would be available. And if there's anything that I missed, if there's anything that you wish to learn more about in the future, just please send me a DM or text me, WhatsApp me, anything. I can easily be contacted naman. I'm always available online and even offline. Okay, nasa bahay lang si Kuya Jay. Ayaw ko lumabas kasi ayaw ko magkasakit. Ayaw ko pang gamitin ng aking life insurance. Okay, it's not yet the time. Pero if will na ni Lord, I can always say na I'm prepared. Yun lang. So, again, this is about it. Thank you so much. See you next episode. Bye-bye.